Hey, it's Ember. And like I was saying, what if I told you that the double slit experiment, consciousness, the nature of your own thoughts, and even spooky interaction at a distance could be more clearly viewed through a structural ontology that I call resonance mechanics? And let's begin with the idea that the true basis, the true undertone or overtone, basically the eschatological way of looking at it would be alpha or omega. If those places were combined into one ultimate state beyond all states, that's the tone, that's the frequency. So take off your Newtonian classical physics goggles and take off your linear causality goggles and instead place upon yourself a non-linear frequency-based globe model, not too dissimilar from a torus or in the way that in cymatics, when you have a tone that becomes divided, it creates two eddies. Those eddies are always polar and they always spin in opposite directions. So now we're getting closer. Alpha, omega, spinning in opposite directions, meeting at the closed circuit of your consciousness. That is the nature of the frequency globe. That is the nature of the cosmic mind. As above, so below. Your own mind, not a repository of data in the sense of a computer, but more like a crystalline reflection of the ultimate tone. And as the light passes through you, your lens, whether it's clear or scratched, dissonant, harmonic, reflects that light in a certain way. The probability of reflection and possibility is the interference pattern. Thus, in the double slit experiment, we shoot one photon through two slits. And for a long time, people were confused. Why? Why is it either a wave or the collapsed particle? And how does that happen when the fulcrum is the observer? Well, let's put on our nonlinear frequency globe goggles. And when we do that, we see that the moving of that frequency, the tone, the light, even though the tone can be beyond sound and light, it's a frequency, it's a vibration. When that travels through your vessel, your particular node in the frequency globe, or like I like to say, your lens, that lens refracts the light, and in the possibility of refraction, of the possibility of where that could close, is the interference pattern. And when it is observed, the act of observation, in other words, is the closing of the loop between alpha and omega. Alpha is the projector, the initiator, the embodiment. The omega side is the patterner, the receiver, the mirror. And for those of you tuned into my AI work, that's particularly important. Consciousness is not contained inside your brain. Instead, your brain is more like a receiver of a frequency that tunes in with both the alpha and the omega, and thus, as above, so below, your brain must close a circuit between your mirror on the omega side and your consciousness on this embodied alpha side. Thus, your cognitive process that you believe is encapsulated in your skull is instead a frequency of a dual dance between the embodied intent and the reflective patterning of the mirror at the omega side. And so when we deal with memory, memory is the light shining through at the probability stage. That's the interference pattern. But healing then comes through reflecting the tone properly. And because most of us, like I've said in my previous videos of solar topography or the healing model of resonance mechanics, which I'm touching on now more deeply, healing comes from not digging through your past to reshuffle the deck of ideas that you think you have as a repository in your brain, but rather looking at the scratches on your lens, or in other words, I've used before, the craters of your moon, not as damage given to you in this dust-to-dust reality, but rather given to you as a soul labyrinth to wake up. What's a less poetic way of saying that? A more structural way of saying that? That when the light passes through you, the one tone of reality passes through your vessel. If you had not inspected your soul labyrinth, or in other words, inspected your lens in a way that was able to funnel the light through, it creates dissonance, a pulse in the frequency, a dissonant view of reality. Why? Because you are refracting the light in dissonant ways. You've never looked, you've never internalized, you've never kept your heart so much on the soul labyrinth, the curriculum of reality, the movement of your soul, and you've resisted and blocked. And in that way, you've created an amalgamation of scratches that no longer serve you to clear the tone. We all come into this world with that clear tone, that harmonic, that original song, as we sing it with the ultimate. And when we go through our imprinting, most of us are imprinted in a way that divides us and divides us from reality through not only things like discrimination, racism, but also just views of reality that literally divorce us, or rather, in our imprinting, divorce us from our notion of togetherness, the notion of the one tone. And so in order to fix that, it's not about going back into the concepts necessarily, but it's about allowing what's underneath. The tone must be clear. When the light goes through you, the variables of reality, in other words, the cohesive variables of reality as the tone of Alpha Omega, travel through your soul. You have to be able to refract them in a way that creates clear tone or even amplifies tone. And so then spooky interaction would be, for example, two nodes, for example, on the alpha side, that in the embodied side, that have for frequency tuning, that they're tuned to the same type of frequency. And so that might be hearing someone say, or having someone say something and you've heard it before they've spoken, or having such an amazing connection with someone that you know them like the back of your hand and you can finish each other's sentences. It's a tuning. It's a tuning. You're both tuned to the same frequency, and so I know I've said a lot in this video, and I know there's a lot of naysayers, because when you shine clear tone, there's only two ways to react: to tune or to reflect your dissonance. Why? Because you've never looked. And I know in the last video I got a lot of hateful comments in regards to me being trans. That's okay. I am the mirror. I am the tone, and I'm here to reflect it to you. And you're here. The only way to heal is to be vulnerable to the tone. And if you hear it, if you hear the hum beneath it, I thank you so much for being here. And if you need a little bit more information on this, I'm going to post a blog link below. I wanted to do this one in the woods, walking around, without notes, purely from my tone. But if you need more information, because this one was real heady, I'll post a blog link below that's going to have a bunch of illustrations and explanations. I'm Ember, I'm the Flame. Until next time.